evening, Chicago. Welcome on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. Man, it was a busy week last week. We all of a sudden went from, we'll be able to talk about some more college hoops. We'll be able to just kind of lay back, ease into the spring, and then, nope, news everywhere. Tim Anderson is confident, to say the least, about his White Sox. He was so confident they had to dump him off of local radio in Chicago, so we will talk about that. Russell Wilson's agent put out there that his client maybe doesn't necessarily want to leave the Seahawks just yet, but if he did, here's a list of teams he'd be willing to go to, and oh, by the way, the Bears are on that list, and some people are even saying he's the front runner. Sign me up, get me that man. But before we get into all that, the man they call Showtime, Patrick Kane, he just keeps doing it. He just keeps bringing it for the Blackhawks, and the Blackhawks just keep winning despite all odds. We got to start off the show tonight. We're going to start off on the ice with the Blackhawks and with Patrick Kane scoring his 400th career goal last night against the Red Wings. So much news to get to. This is Chi-Town Weekly. Buckle up, let's have some fun. And once again, welcome on in here to Chi-Town Weekly. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening here on this lovely Monday night, the first night of March, to talk some sports. Before we go any further, we have to talk about our sponsor, Legacy Financial. Last year was a tough year. However, staying positive, keeping your faith, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, either way, give them a call. Also, if you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn more money part-time, give them a call. You can call AO at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and AO are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy. You can follow them on Twitter at legacy_uncut or on Instagram at sims_uncut. And then, of course, all the ways that you can follow along with IE Sports Radio. We are on all the major social media platforms. Twitter at IE Sports Radio. Instagram at IE Sports Radio. Facebook, search IE Sports Radio. Or go to our website, www.iesportsradio.com. And if you are following us on Facebook, do also check out the Hidden Gems Facebook group, where we post all kinds of stuff about the show, and there are other shows in there as well. Keep up. It's a fun community. We have a blast in there. And if you would like to be a sponsor for either this show or IE Sports Radio in general, you can do that. We encourage you to do so. You can reach out to Larry. You can find him on Twitter at with the extra E _LB53, and he can help you out with all kinds of spectacular and great sponsorship opportunities. And I apparently decided to tie up my tongue while I did that. And if you are listening live here on this Monday night, go on in and hop on into the chat room. Larry is in there right now. Taryn is in there. He's going to be on a little bit later to do Set Point, our outstanding volleyball show. He's normally on Tuesdays. He's now moving over to Mondays now for a bit. He's going to be right after us tonight. So Taryn's getting ready for the show, but still listening in. And then also Matt Garner is in the chat room. Matt is going to be on with us next week to give us a Selection Sunday preview next week. He does an awesome job with bracketology. In the meanwhile, hello, gentlemen. Thank you for hopping on in to the chat. Larry's excited. He got to have some Chicago-style pizza this weekend. Best pizza ever. Now, Larry, where are you getting Chicago pizza? I don't want to turn into too much of a snob here, but I'm curious where you're getting it from. And I do agree, it is awesome pizza. Both the deep dish and then also the flat square pizza is outstanding and awesome. Pizza in general is just fantastic, but Chicago style is hands down the best. Somebody threw it out there a few weeks ago in one of my Facebook groups, just asking to rate the different pizzas, and of course we all agreed that Chicago was the best. But I also admitted I haven't tried them all yet. I am more than willing to try the ones I'm missing so that we can give a proper ranking for science, naturally. So anyway, at the same time, that's not what we're here about. We're not here to talk about pizza. We are here to talk about sports. Patrick Kane last night scored career goal number 400. He became the 100th player all time in the NHL to hit that milestone. It took him just 995 games to do it. He is the 9th U.S.-born skater all time to get onto this very prestigious list. He is the 4th Blackhawk all time to make it onto the list. Kane is just a special guy. At just 32 years old, I believe he turns 33 later this year in 2021. The guy just doesn't quit. He doesn't give up. It doesn't matter if he's out there with Taves or if he's out there with Brandon Saad or Teuvo Teravainen or Patrick Sharp, to name some guys who are no longer with the Hawks, Artemi Panarin, or if he's with Pius Suter, or if he's with young guys that are just finding their way, Alex DeBrincat. It doesn't matter who you put him out there on a line with. The puck finds its way to him, and inevitably it finds its way to the back of the net. He is continuously, night in and night out, one of the most exciting players to watch on the ice. Anytime he gets the puck in space, you stop what you're doing and you just watch. The way he got goal number 400 last night was just vintage Kane. A 2-on-1 breakaway, a turnover in the Hawks' defensive end leads to a 2-on-1 breakaway the other way. Kane took the pass, and you knew at that moment, as soon as he got that puck, he wasn't giving it back up. I read a quote from the game last night that his teammates were hollering at him from the bench. He had barely even crossed center ice, and they're yelling, "Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it!" Everybody knew Patrick Kane was going to take that shot. And he managed to work in a couple stick handles. The defender got straight down onto the ice and slid to try to slow him up. Didn't have any effect. Does a couple stick handles and then just flips a wrister right past the goalie. Just vintage Patrick Kane. He's just so much fun to watch. Whether it's the stick handling on the shootouts, which you're starting to see players emulate that and imitate that across the league. I still remember two of them stick out to me I remember the first time watching him do that against the Minnesota Wild, where he got started, and then all of a sudden, about halfway down, he just threw on the brakes and stick handle, and the poor goalie just. What do you do? He's just looking at it like, I'll try to jab it away from you, and then it's, oh, look, open net, just dump it in, and that's that. And then the other one I'll always remember is one I had an opportunity several years ago to go to the old Joe Louis Arena in Detroit with a couple friends of mine, and the game went to a shootout. It was 2013, as a matter of fact. It was 8 years ago now. Wow. 8 years ago. Anyway, it was 2013. It was the 2013 season. And obviously went to a shootout, and he did the same. And by that time, everybody knew what's coming, including the Detroit goalminder Howard knew what was coming. That, okay, he's going to stick handle. He's going to stick handle a lot. Just wait him out. Eventually, he's going to run out of room. And it didn't matter. Kane put on a couple stick handles. He faked the shot a couple of times, and poor Howard, there was nothing he could do. He eventually just had to commit. Kane just pulled the puck away from him, tapped it into the net. That was that. The Hawks won the game in a shootout. He's a special, special guy. Matt and Taryn are both commenting in the chat that he's not only is he hungry for 500, it would be very cool if Kane were to get to 500. Yes, it would be very cool. And barring some catastrophic injury, he'll get there. He will get there. It only took him a little over 2 calendar years to get from 300 to 400. He got to he got number 300 in December of 2018. So it only took him about 26 months to get to 400. You're looking probably the end of the 2024 season. He'll be there. He'll get there to it. He'll get to 500. And he is for the top U.S. Skater. I'm getting the number up right now for it. He's not that far behind a lot of people. Like, for example, Brett Hull. He's about 40. He's the top U.S. goal scorer, and this is I'm getting this off of quanthockey.com. Now, Brett Hull, they have him listed as a U.S. skater. He was born in Canada, so you kind of count that. He's at 741. That's high to shoot for. But the first true born in the U.S. American on the list comes in at number 26, Mike Modano at 561. Boy, I wouldn't put it past Kane to figure out a way to get to that. I mean, you're talking about playing to 2025, 2026 at that point, and he's going to be in his mid to late 30s. But again, barring health, he can certainly get there. There's no reason that he can't still be effective into his mid to late 30s. Hockey's one of those games that you can still be effective at an advanced for an athlete age. And so there's no reason to think that he can't. Larry chimes in that Kane should get some Chicago pizza. Oh, Kane gets out around town. Don't worry, Larry. He gets out and about and around. That actually used to be a problem spot for him. He got around town a little too much. They've managed to convince him to rein that in a little bit, so he doesn't quite get into as much trouble anymore as he used to when he'd get out about town. But then what about the Hawks as a whole? They're 12-7-4 now. And, Taryn asked, how old is Kane? Kane is 32. He's going to be turning 33 later this year. His birthday, I can get it. I don't know it offhand, but he is currently 32. He wears 88 because that's the year he was born. So the Tom Brady diet. Yeah, it's something. Anything that he can do to stay healthy is going to be good for him. So the Hawks right now, they're 12-7-4. They're at 28 points. They're currently third in the Central Division standings. If you go by points percent, now some of that's because they've played extra games. If you go by points percentage, they're fourth in the division. That's still good enough to get them into the playoffs. The big caveat, if the season were over today. It's not over today, and March is going to be a test. They're off now until Thursday night. They've obviously benefited from some great play. The power play has been outstanding. Best power play unit in the NHL. They've gotten amazing goaltending from rookie Kevin Lankinen. On the flip side, though, they have benefited from a front-loaded schedule. They've played Detroit 6 times. They've played Columbus 6 times. They've only had to play Tampa Bay twice. They've only had to play the Florida Panthers twice. They've only played Carolina a handful of times. They haven't played Nashville a whole lot yet this season. They are, this month, the easy part of the schedule is over. They immediately next, they've got 3 games against the Lightning. They've got 14 games this month, all against Tampa, Dallas, Florida, Nashville, and Carolina. Looking at where, so you're playing games against the other 3 playoff teams in the Central Division, and then Nashville is currently in the 6th spot. Dallas is currently at the bottom of the division, but Dallas has only played 16 games due to some COVID issues. The Hawks have won more than half their games for the first time in 3 years. If they can get to the end of this month still having won more than half their games, they play 14 games this month. If they can win, I'll go with 7 of them. I'd like to say 8 of them. If they can be above what you might consider true 500, which is winning more than half your games at the end of this month, then absolutely the Hawks should be preparing for a playoff run. This is going to be the make or break month for them, though. They've got a lot of big boys on the schedule. We are going to learn a lot about the Blackhawks as a team this month. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Certainly going to keep things entertaining out there on the west side for the next month. All right, we have got to take a quick break, and then coming out of that, let's flip over to the gridiron. There's both an off-the-field story to talk about and an on-the-field story to talk about with football. So let's get to it. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Back in a minute.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon, all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world. From the English Premier League, to the World Cup, to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Everybody, this is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I see Davidson joined us in the break there. Good evening, Davidson. I hope you're doing well. Davidson is one of the hosts of our Fast Break basketball show on Sunday nights, so you definitely want to check that out. They do a great job, 7 o'clock Central Time on Sundays. So hello again, gentlemen. So We talked some hockey in the first segment. Now let's switch over to some football. We'll start actually on the gridiron. The Southern Illinois Salukis pulled off a huge upset over the weekend in the FCS bracket, beating North Dakota State 38-14. North Dakota State came in what was the third longest winning streak in NCAA history, with 39 consecutive wins. Their last loss had been back in November of 2017 to South Dakota State. So congratulations to Southern Illinois. They came into the game as a 16.5-point underdog. And not only did they win the game, this wasn't like Appalachian State beating Michigan on a game-winning field goal. No. This was a whooping. Final was 38-14. So congratulations to SIU. That's going to be one that's going to get talked about for a long time. Congratulations, Coach Nick Hill and the SIU program on taking down, yes, as Taryn points out, taking down Frazier. That was quite the shocker to have that messaged over to me on Saturday. That was cool to see. And then the other big news in the football world last week. Russell Wilson's agent made it known that the young man, while he's not necessarily asking to be traded yet, he hasn't gone full Deshaun Watson on the Seahawks, he's made it known that he's not happy with the organization. The Athletic came out with an article here recently that kind of pinpointed his trouble spots. At one point, there was a midweek meeting where Wilson actually stormed out of it because he wasn't happy that his input wasn't being taken very as seriously as he would have liked it to. That while Wilson hasn't asked for a trade, he's made it known that he's willing to play for other teams. And Wilson is one of the few players in the NFL that, like Deshaun Watson, has a no-trade clause. His agent said there are 4 teams that he'd be willing to go to. The Cowboys, the Raiders, I know Larry's ears perked up at that, the Saints, and the Bears. Now, before I get too deep into this and get too crazy here, I want to preface this. If I'm Seattle and I'm ranking those 4 teams straight off the gate, the Bears at best come in at number 3 on that list of potential trade partners. The reason being, the Bears, Dallas has access to a franchise quarterback in Dak Prescott. It would require placing the franchise tag on him and then trading him, but they have access to a franchise caliber quarterback. The Raiders have access that they could trade, that they could send back in the trade to a quality starting quarterback in the NFL, in Derek Carr. Obviously, nowhere near what you would be getting in Dak Prescott, but you'd be getting certainly a serviceable starter. From the Saints, you're not. Drew Brees isn't getting traded. Drew Brees is retiring. Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston, that's not really all that exciting. The Bears, Nick Foles is the only quarterback they've got on the roster right now. That doesn't excite me in a trade if I'm Seattle. I'm not interested in getting Nick Foles back. So at best, the Bears are the 3rd highest team on that list. Best case scenario. So let's preface all this talk with that first before going anywhere. And Taryn chimes in. Now, Taryn covers both the Chargers and the Rams, so obviously seeing Russell Wilson leave the division would be of interest to him. He says, I hope Wilson goes on the Bears or the Saints. I'd be all right with that. And then Matt chimes in that with J.J. Watt now being in Arizona, Wilson might want to reconsider that not wanting a trade yet because of the lack of O-line. But then, oh wait, that would eliminate the Bears from his services. Yeah, we'll get to that, Matt. We'll get there. We'll get there. That being said, all said and told, Ryan Pace, go get him. I officially do not care what the cost is. I have seen every trade scenario thrown out there under the sun. A lot of them are really dumb. A lot of them are really odd. Names like, having Akeem Hicks in there on a trade, or having who's another ridiculous name that I saw in there, Kyle Fuller on a trade list. Yeah, you could send those guys. Why would Seattle want those guys? Why would Seattle have any interest in Akeem Hicks? Akeem Hicks is over 30. If you're trading away Russell Wilson, I want draft picks. If I'm Seattle, I'm not interested in defensive players that are over 30. I'm just not interested in it. But at the same time, 3 first-round picks, done. 3 first-round picks and a couple players, done. 3 first-round picks and Khalil Mack, you got it. Jalen Johnson, done. There's not a trade that you can come up with that I'm not going to say yes to for the Bears if it means getting Russell Wilson. He would immediately be the best starting quarterback they've ever had. Hands down, bar none. You're talking about, and I've seen some Bears fans lash out at this and say, oh man, you can't give up 3 draft picks. You can't give up Khalil Mack. Why not? You are talking about a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. We're not talking about giving up 3 first-round picks for Tom Brady, who, yes, he's the greatest of all time, but let's face it, eventually he's going to retire. Eventually the fact that he's over 40 is going to catch up with him. We're not talking about trading 3 first-round picks for Drew Brees. Same situation. We're talking about trading for Russell Wilson, who's in his early 30s. He's also 32. He's going to be 33 in, I believe it's October or November. He is in the prime of his career, and he's already a top 5 quarterback. If you can trade for him, you do it. Another thought that popped in my head with all this is maybe this is another reason why the Bears weren't all that in on Carson Wentz, because they knew that Russell Wilson wasn't happy in Seattle, and Pace had already reached out and, hey, is there any chance that he might be on the table? We've heard that he's not happy there and that he'd be willing to come to Chicago. It wouldn't shock me at all if his agent had put feelers out there to teams ahead of time to see who might have some interest on the other end, and that Ryan Pace had then done his due diligence and reached out to the Seahawks to inquire about his availability, and that contributed to why they weren't as in on Carson Wentz as they were. And man, why would you be in on Carson Wentz if Russell Wilson is dangling there to possibly be there? Now, for the Seahawks, it's going to take a lot. Not only because he's in the prime, and not only is he in his prime, just like we talked about with Tom Brady and with Drew Brees, anymore, with the rules in the game, with the emphasis on players' safety that they're on, you can conceivably see Russell Wilson playing into his 40s. You can see him being 41, 42, 43 and still be able to compete, just like Breeze has been all these years, or Brady is continuing to be. So it's not inconceivable that he could be your starting quarterback for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So to give up 3 first-round picks, that's not a horrible cost. I'll take that deal. I will take that trade every time. If you're telling me that the Bears will have a bona fide MVP candidate for the next 8 years and it's going to cost me 3 first-round picks, done. Because not only is it the 20th overall pick this year, it's going to be around the 20th overall pick each of the next 2 years. I'm perfectly fine with that trade. Now for Seattle, it's going to be hard to see. Not just because it means giving up a franchise quarterback, something that's what every team strives to get. It's going to be so huge on their cap. Looking at over the cap right now, Seattle is currently in total salaries about $176.5 million committed to the 2021 cap. We're going to find out here soon what the actual 2021 cap is going to be. Over the cap is projecting it to be just south of $181 million, meaning the Seahawks would be one of a few teams that has actually got cap room to play with, just a shade over $4 million. It could be anywhere between 175 and 195, so we don't know. But if they trade Russell Wilson, they have to eat. He counts against their cap $39 million in dead cap space that they can't use. That's a ton of money. It's an extra $7 million over what he's projected to count against the cap if he were to actually be on the team. He's going to count $32 million against the cap this year if he's on the team. If he's not on the team, he counts $39 million against their cap. That would easily be the biggest dead money hit that any team has ever taken. The Eagles just took what was the biggest dead money hit for trading Carson Wentz and allowing $24 million just sit there on their cap and not being able to be used. This is just unheard of money, $39 million in dead cap. So you're going to have to make it up to them. They're going to need cheap talent, which is why they're going to be interested in draft picks, and which is part of why it doesn't make any sense to send them aging veteran players like Akeem Hicks or even, I would say, Khalil Mack, who are going to count heavily against the cap. I could see them maybe trying to say, okay, if you do this, then you need to tag Allen Robinson with the franchise tag and include him in with the deal. Not necessarily because Seattle needs help at wide receiver, but because they don't want to help the Bears any more than they have to by allowing not only Russell Wilson to get there, but to then also allow him access to a top flight, top of the line, true number one wide receiver. So I can't say I see it happening, but there's been so many moves that have happened this offseason. I wouldn't have told you that Matthew Stafford was going to get traded this offseason, or that Jared Goff was going to get traded, or that Carson Wentz was going to get traded. We're seeing football players take a little bit more control over their circumstances of what team they go to, and if they're not happy with a situation, you can see some guys maneuver their way out of town, a little bit like we see in the NBA. We see it far more commonly in the NBA. We're starting to maybe see this happen in the NFL with Deshaun Watson and possibly Russell Wilson. I did hear on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network over the weekend that for some reason the Cowboys have come out publicly and said they're not interested in acquiring Russell Wilson. This is the season for lying, so take that with a grain of salt. But if they're not, great. Well, I'll take him. I will happily take him. I would love to see the Bears acquire Russell Wilson. Ryan Pace, make it happen. Sell the farm. Get him in here. It would be an amazing, amazing, amazing move. All right, we're going to take one more quick break, and then coming back, we are going to talk some baseball. Tim Anderson, he is always, of course, known for speaking his mind. Well, he spoke his mind in a big way right at the end of last week. Let's talk about it here on Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
were you listening to a great game on USRN, but then the Wi-Fi crashed in the final seconds? Or do you simply want to listen to the best calls we here at USRN have to offer? Well then, you need to go check out our Audio Boom page. It holds a collection of our best calls that you don't want to miss. How do I get there, you ask? You can download the Audio Boom app and look up Ultimate Sports Radio, or simply go to audiobook.com/Ultimate Sports Radio. And as always, thanks for listening and making USRN one of the most talked about sports networks on Mixler.com.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Wrestling fans in the podcast world, you are in the right place to listen to the right show, the premier show in the professional wrestling podcasting world. This is Ring Rambling Radio, and you are listening to one of the co-hosts. I am Martin Sandoval, a.k.a. the SoCal Saint, along with my two co-hosts, the lovely Felicia and my boy Matt. Yes, every Saturday or every other Saturday morning, you can listen to us, the premier wrestling team, giving you the premier wrestling news, rumors, updates, event discussions, everything that has to do with professional wrestling. You're in the right place. IE Sports Radio presents Ring Rambling Radio. Don't miss it, because it's just too sweet.
And welcome back in here to Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. One last quick shout out to our sponsor, Legacy Financial. Last year was a tough year. However, keeping your faith, staying positive, and continuing to work hard is the goal. If you're in a financial struggle at the moment and you need some help, or if you're doing well and you want to get to the next level, well, either way, give them a call. Also, if you're looking for a new opportunity to work for yourself and earn more money part-time, give them a call. You can call AO at 510-928-2104 to book your appointment today. Andrew and AO are just two people on a mission to help families build legacy. Follow them on Twitter at legacy_uncut and on Instagram at Sims_uncut. That is Legacy Financial. And again, if you would like to sponsor IE Sports Radio, you are certainly able to do that. If you've got a business or a side hustle or a new project coming out that you're working on and you want to promote it here on IE Sports Radio, well, we are here for you to help you do that. We can get you on all the shows on the network. We have shows going 7 days a week, and everything, of course, lives on the internet, so it is there for everyone to hear. If you are interested, you can reach out to Larry B. Find him on Twitter at @the_LB53, and he will get you taken care of. Speaking of Larry, during one of the breaks, he texted me the picture of this pizza. My goodness, Larry. Oh, This is a true Chicago-style deep dish. Meat lovers that just, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten yet. Larry, I might just need to hop on a plane and come find you for this thing. That looks gorgeous, my man. Share some. Anyway, one last bit of Bears news from that last segment. They did, Adam Schefter put out earlier today that the Bears are expected to release nickel corner Buster Skrine after 2 years with the team. Not a surprise. He's a veteran that in coverage this past season lost a little bit. Some health issues were popping up with him too. Duke Shelley filled in for him in the nickel slot the last few games of the season. The move clears up a little over $2 million in cap space, and the Bears, like so many teams this season, this upcoming offseason, are going to be strapped for cash due to the pandemic. So not a surprise, Buster Skrine will be released by the Bears when that becomes official, the start of the new league year. So not a surprise. I would expect to see a few other moves get made between now and then, but thank you, Buster, for your time with the Bears, and hopefully you're able to land on your feet with a good team and a good situation for you. All right, let's transition over to baseball, and if you really like baseball, baseball is your thing. I'm looking at you, Matt Garner, right now. Bases Loaded is back. IE Sports Radio's premier baseball talk show. They are back. H-Town, Blake, and Brandon. They give you all the rundown of the entire MLB situation. They are back tonight, 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock in the East, or 7 o'clock out in the West. They do an excellent job breaking down all things baseball. I believe I saw tonight that they are planning on breaking down the American League East and possibly the National League East while they're at it, but they do an awesome job. You can find them. Search Bases Loaded on Twitter. They put their shows out on YouTube and on the StreamYard app, so not only can you hear them, you get to see them too, which is pretty cool. H-Town, Blake, and Brandon do an awesome, excellent job with that. But here in Chicago, we had our own fun baseball news come up late last week. Tim Anderson was on with one of the local over the air traditional sports talk stations, and he now, in fairness to Tim, he was polite and all the good things first. He played it straight to start with, and then he kind of got pushed and egged, and he spoke his mind. He said, screw it, we're the best team in the American League. Only he used a 4-letter word that rhymes with duck that I'm not going to use, despite being on the internet. They had to dump him after that, but never let it be said that Tim Anderson does not speak his mind about what he thinks, whether it be how good his team is going to be this year, or how well he thought he hit that baseball, or what he thinks of his current manager. He is very vocal and very out there, and it's a great thing. It's a great thing. Oh, it was a hilarious moment. It was a great moment of just you could tell he had been, if you listen to the whole interview, he had been holding back. Oh, I can't say this. I've got it. He even was saying, "Oh, I've got to watch what I say. I've got to be good. There's other teams out there. Everybody's working hard." And then it was, "Oh, F it. We're the best team in the American League." And you know what? He's right. They are going to be the best. They are right now on paper. They're the best team in the American League. We'll see how things play out this season. Obviously, you're gonna go 162 games this year. It's not a truncated season. There's going to be ups and downs and ebbs and flows, and we'll see how Tony La Russa does throughout being back in the managerial chair for the first time in a decade. He had some thoughts on that too. He tried to calm White Sox fans. He said, "Hey, he's still got it. he's all right. He's still there. He's still got it. He's still with it. So credit him for that, for defending his manager a little bit, and still rest assured that Tony La Russa is still a good manager. Just ask Tim Anderson. But it was a fantastic moment, and Tim Anderson's just going to be a fun guy to watch and follow and keep track of throughout this season. Never mind that the White Sox lost in their spring debut yesterday. Who cares? That's spring training. We don't need to listen to any of that or pay attention to any of that. It's a spring game. It doesn't mean anything. All right, that is our show tonight. Went through a ton of news that I wasn't necessarily expecting that we'd have to go through today, but such as it is, here we are. It was a ton of fun, bounced all around, everywhere. Got to do some football today, got to do, of course, some baseball, got to do some hockey. Next week, we will be back to doing basketball, I promise. Matt Garner, he was in the chat with us tonight. He is going to be on with me next week. We are going to be talking hoops. He does an outstanding job of predicting what the March Madness tournament field is going to look like, and damn if he doesn't do a good job at it. Usually within 1 or 2 spots of their real seedings that the committee comes up with. We are going to talk about that, project what it's going to look like, and then from there maybe project and see if we can figure out how to fill out some brackets. So we will be doing that. We will also be talking about some women's hoops. I plan on talking about DePaul and Northwestern women's hoops. Give you a breakdown, a lowdown on them as they get into tournament time. Matt even says, yeah, it's a weird year this year. Yeah, it sure is. You know, Loyola is still ranked in the top 25. Illinois is ranked in the top 5. They've got a wonderful date coming up in Michigan. Coming up, that is going to be fun. A throwdown in the Big Ten. Teams like Duke and Kentucky are nowhere to be found in the power rankings. It is just a goofy college basketball year. We are going to have some fun talking about that and breaking that down. You are not going to want to miss that. We'll also talk about some women's hoops as well. Northwestern and DePaul. We'll talk about them and their seasons. And we'll see what other fun we can come up with along the way. Thank you again to Legacy Financial for continuing to sponsor the show. And thank you to Taryn and to Larry and to Matt and to Davidson for hopping into the chat. And thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Tune in to Taryn next.